Have you ever looked at your partner and thought, what's really going on in there? That feeling when you know something's off, but he just says, I'm fine? The silence can be deafening. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 3 biggest secrets men won't tell you. Secrets that once you know them will give you the power to create deeper connection and understanding than you've ever experienced before. Secret number 1, the burden of emotional loneliness. The first secret that men won't tell you in a relationship. They're carrying a crushing burden of emotional loneliness that gets worse as they age. You might be thinking, wait, he has me. How can he be lonely? Here's the shocking truth. Research shows that men's emotional support networks shrink by a staggering 50% between the ages of 30 and 90. 50%! And when they get married, this network becomes even smaller as they rely more heavily on their spouse. Think about it. When was the last time you saw your partner have a deeply emotional conversation with his friends? Not about sports or work, but about his fears, insecurities, or feelings. For most men, the answer is rarely or never. Here's something that floored me when I learned it. Men often don't have anyone to talk to about their inner lives except their partners, and many struggle to even do that effectively. One study found that men were more likely to have grown up in environments where showing emotion was discouraged, leading to a lifetime of emotional suppression. I remember working with Mark and Sarah. They'd been married for 7 years, and Sarah was frustrated that Mark never opened up to her. He shares nothing, she complained. When I spoke with Mark privately, he broke down. I want to tell her how scared I am about my dad's health, how overwhelmed I feel at work, but I don't know how. And I don't want to burden her. She already has so much on her plate. This is the reality for so many men. They're drowning emotionally, but have been taught their entire lives to swim silently. So what practical steps can you take? First, create emotional safety. Men need to know they won't be judged, criticized, or have their feelings used against them later. Try saying something like, I'd love to understand more about what's going on in your world. I'm here to listen, not to fix or judge. Second, ask indirect questions instead of how are you feeling? Logically, try what was going through your mind when that happened. Indirect questions often feel safer for men to answer. Third, acknowledge his vulnerability when he does share. A simple, thank you for trusting me with that can go a long way. And here's a bonus tip. Don't push for immediate deep sharing. Men often need time to process their emotions before they can verbalize them. Plant the seed and give it time to grow. Secret number 2, respect is their love language. Now, the second secret is something that might initially make you uncomfortable. In fact, when I first share this with my female clients, about half of them resist it strongly. But understanding this secret could be the difference between a partnership that thrives and one that merely survives. Ready? The second secret men won't tell you. They experience respect as love and disrespect as rejection, and this need runs far deeper than most women realize. In my years of counseling couples, I've noticed a fundamental difference in how men and women prioritize love and respect. While women tend to place love at the top, men often value respect even more than love. And here's where it gets interesting. Many men won't or can't articulate this need directly. Research confirms this. Men interpret respect as love. When a man feels respected by his partner, when his thoughts, feelings, work, and decisions are valued, he experiences that as love. Conversely, when he feels disrespected, criticized, or dismissed, he experiences that as rejection and withdrawal of love. I worked with a couple on the brink of divorce. Wife constantly complained that husband was emotionally unavailable. During our sessions, it became clear that the wife had developed a habit of contradicting husband, rolling her eyes at his ideas, and making jokes at his expense. She was shocked when I pointed this out. In her mind, these were minor issues compared to the deep emotional connection she craved. But for him, these small signs of disrespect were sending a clear message. Your thoughts don't matter, your contributions aren't valued, you aren't enough. He was shutting down emotionally because he didn't feel safe. Here's what's fascinating. Many men won't tell you this is happening. They'll suffer in silence, pull away, or become defensive without ever naming the real issue. They've been conditioned to not appear weak by admitting that your opinion of them matters so deeply. So what practical steps can you take? First, catch yourself when you're being dismissive. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says, but it does mean treating his thoughts and feelings with the same respect you want for yours. Second, acknowledge his contributions, both big and small. I really appreciate how you always handle the trash. Might seem trivial, but it registers as love in his emotional bank account. Third, speak to him as you would a respected colleague or friend. Sometimes we use tones and words with our partners that we'd never use with others. Ask yourself, would I say this in this way to someone I deeply respect professionally? And a powerful fourth step, ask him directly, do you feel respected by me? Be prepared for an honest conversation, and remember, this isn't about subservience, it's about partnership. Secret number 3, actions over words. The third secret is perhaps the most misunderstood. In fact, it's often hiding in plain sight, causing countless arguments and deep frustration. This secret explains why so many women feel disconnected even in long-term relationships. And the good news? Once you understand it, you'll have a roadmap to the emotional intimacy you've been craving. The third secret men won't tell you. They express love through actions rather than words, and they're often pretending to enjoy things just to make you happy. This might sound simple, but the implications are profound. Men are socialized to show love through doing rather than saying. When your partner fixes something in the house without being asked, takes care of the yard work, or handles a difficult situation with the kids, he's saying, I love you in his language. The research is clear. Men tend to express affection through acts of service and shared activities rather than through verbal expression. One study found that men rated working on projects together as more emotionally intimate than many forms of verbal sharing. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Many men regularly pretend to enjoy activities or shows they have little interest in, simply because it makes their partners happy. The evidence reveals numerous accounts of men who go along with watching shows they don't care about or attending events they find dull, never letting on that they're doing it purely out of love for their partners. This couple named Rachel and Jason. Rachel was frustrated that Jason never wanted to have deep conversations about their relationship. During our sessions, Jason revealed something surprising. I built her dream kitchen last year. I spent every weekend for 3 months working on it, designing it exactly how she wanted. That was me saying, I love you and I'm committed to our future, but she never seemed to see it that way. Meanwhile, Rachel admitted, I just thought that was a house project. I didn't see it as an expression of love. This disconnect between how men express love and how women recognize it creates unnecessary pain on both sides. So what practical steps can you take? First, start recognizing acts of service as expressions of love. When he handles a difficult task without being asked, try responding with, I see how much you care for us through what you do. Second, create opportunities for side-by-side connection. Many men bond better when doing activities alongside their partners rather than in face-to-face conversation. Hiking, cooking together, or working on a project can create space for meaningful connection. Third, directly ask what he genuinely enjoys doing together. You might be surprised to learn that some of your activities that he participates in aren't actually enjoyable for him. He's just doing them to make you happy. And finally, develop a habit of noticing and acknowledging his contributions. Men often feel their efforts go unnoticed, leading to resentment and withdrawal. These 3 secrets, men's hidden emotional loneliness, their deep need for respect, and their action-based expression of love, form the foundation of understanding the male experience in relationships. I want to emphasize something crucial. Knowing these secrets isn't about catering to men or diminishing your own needs. It's about developing empathy for the unique challenges men face in expressing vulnerability and connection. When both partners understand each other's emotional worlds, the relationship transforms. I've seen couples on the brink of divorce rediscover joy and intimacy simply by understanding these hidden dynamics. I've watched women's frustration turn to compassion when they recognize the emotional constraints many men operate within. And I've seen men finally feel safe enough to share their deepest selves when these principles are put into practice. Remember, men aren't deliberately hiding these aspects of themselves. They've been conditioned by society to maintain a certain image of masculinity that often comes at a steep emotional cost. By creating safe spaces for authentic connection and recognizing the different ways men experience and express love, you open doors to a level of intimacy many couples never achieve. I encourage you to try implementing the practical steps I've suggested. Start small, notice what shifts. Be patient with the process. Deep change rarely happens overnight, but when it does happen, it creates relationships that are resilient, passionate, and profoundly satisfying. Which of these secrets resonated most with you? And what's one small step you could take today to create more space for authentic connection in your relationship? Drop down in the comments. The journey to understanding the male mind may not always be easy, but I promise you it's worth it.